Castro, back for chapter 4
on Easter.
Thank you, of my book Flowerantha. We are recording, well, we're posting this on Easter, so happy Easter, everyone. Today I have both my daughters here, Bibi
and Cece,
and our special stuffed animal guest. Does our guest have a name?
Yeah, Lily the bunny.
Lily the bunny.
And I'm a bunny.
Yes, so we have 2 bunnies and 2 daughters here, so it's a very festive Easter. All right, well, let's see what Mash is up to in chapter 4 of Flowerantha. You guys ready?
And one mommy, yes.
All right, here we go. For much of the day, Mash walked along the water while Nautica swam beside him. They tried to keep their conversations light and their heads clear in case any merpeople happened to be listening from below. The terrain stayed the same for most of the way. Clear, blue lakes, lined by fields of colorful flowers, some of them a dark, ominous purple, and random shady trees and bushes filled with berries. Mash reached for one of the bushes and grabbed as many berries as he could at once. He gave some to Nautica, and then they took turns trying to throw the berries into each other's mouths. In the afternoon, it was time to split up. A river veered off one way, while a dense forest was the last thing between Mash and Bushrell's home. Nautica grimaced and shifted her gaze from side to side. Why has Olivia not come yet? I'll be fine, said Mash. It's just a little walk through the woods. After I meet up with this Bushrell, we'll find some water and continue to the mountains. Please be careful. I will be in your mind the whole time. I will. Thanks, Nautica. He pivoted on his heel. Mash, she held out her hand. Her blue eyes seemed to have grown even bigger and more watery than usual, and she was about to cry. He knelt down and squeezed her outstretched hand. I will see you soon. As Mash plunged into the woods, his bare feet landed on a sharp stick. He winced and picked his foot up. No damage. Good, I don't want to waste a wish. He followed a narrow dirt path covered by a leafy canopy. I hope I know where I'm going. He found a large stick on the ground that he used to club tree branches on each side of him when the path became too narrow or almost disappeared. Leaves rustled as he brushed by them, and sticks snapped beneath his feet. After walking almost all day, Mash collapsed in a heap and leaned his back against the nearest tree. Just a quick rest, he said to himself. I want to find Bushrell before the sun sets. Mash pushed his foot forward and watched as he displaced the dirt, bark, and other debris. With his hand, he made a pile of dirt and then patted it down. To finish off his little creation, he found a twig and stuck it in the top of the mound. Maybe I'll get to the amaranth after all. He swung his hand at the little hill he had made, destroying it. The woods grew darker, and Mash still had a ways to go before he reached Bushrell's home. Getting up from his spot against the tree, he continued on with his walking stick in hand. Mash hummed to pass the time as he swung at the brush on either side of him. When he finished humming one song, he paused. He heard the sounds of twigs breaking in the distance. Out of the corner of his eye, Mash saw a flash of white from the trees. He spun around and saw another flash of white in the opposite direction. Who's there? His voice trembled. Or what? Another flash of white crossed his line of vision, and Mash ran. His large walking stick slammed into tree trunks and became entangled in a web of vine-like branches. Mash tugged at it for a second, but then abandoned the stick. He continued to run, but his foot caught a root, and he tumbled to the ground. His hands and face were now covered in dirt, and the woods would only get darker. The leaves above hid most of the remaining sunlight. I wished for a torch. As a cone-shaped piece of wood with a blazing top materialized in his hand, a great white form dropped to the ground in front of him with a thud. The beast was taller than Mash, with gray-white hair covering its entire body, except for mustard-yellow fur on its snout. A menacing smile spread across its elongated, pointy face. It looked like a sloth, but did not move like one. These animals, called gamboges, were quick and agile. The gamboge opened its mouth and swung an arm at Mash, an arm that was as long as the rest of its body itself. 3 long white daggers protruded from one end of the creature's hand. Mash dodged the sharp nails inches from his face and shoved the torch at the outstretched arm. The gamboge screamed, and Mash shielded his ears as best he could from the piercing sound. A branch creaked from above. Another gamboge with a smiling face perched on the tree above the first gamboge. It blinked its beady black eyes and crouched like it was ready to pounce. Mash crawled backward, supporting himself with his free hand while swinging the torch with the other. "You better stay where you are." He pointed the torch at one gamboge and then the other one. He stood up and backed away, one cautious step at a time. The gamboge on the ground matched his step and advanced towards him. The one in the tree crouched down lower and licked its lips with its long tongue that wound itself around like a snake. Their hair was like straw, like maybe if it lit, it could catch on fire and extinguish the animal in seconds. But it kept the animals dry when the waters rose. Mash took another step, but his heel made contact with a fallen tree. He lost his balance and flailed a bit, shaking the torch at the gamboges. Seeing his weakness, the gamboge in the tree leapt off his branch. Mash, unable to do anything else, covered his face and stuck out the torch, bracing for impact. Instead of plowing into Mash, the airborne gamboge screeched and fell to the ground. The other gamboge froze for a second and then climbed a tree and swung his long arms from tree to tree in the opposite direction until he was out of sight. Mash stood over the gamboge on the ground. "Durano," said a voice in Flowerantha. Mash spun around to find a boy, maybe a year younger than he was and a few inches shorter. The boy wore a dark-colored tunic and sandals. He carried a bow in one hand and an arrow in the other that matched the arrow sticking out of the gamboge. His blonde hair was wild and wavy and hung in his eyebrows, framing piercing blue eyes that could be seen even in the dark. "Graciou, can I see your bow?" Mash reached out his hand, but the boy snatched it away. "What are you doing in the woods, alone and unarmed at night?" "I am armed." Mash held up his torch, which was now a stick with glowing embers on the end. The boy frowned. "These gamboges sleep during the day and eat at night. It is not safe to be wandering around." Mash kicked some dirt at his feet. "I wasn't exactly wandering. I'm looking for someone called Bushroll. Do you know him?" The boy notched the arrow against the bow, but kept it pointed at the ground. "I am Bushroll. Who are you besides a lost russet?" "Well, I'm not lost. I may be a little lost, but I am a russet if that's what you want to call us poor people. Olivia sent me. The king and queen's royal message." "I know who Olivia is." "Right, well, I'm here to help you on your quest. She said you would train me to help protect the visitors." Mash peered around Bushroll. "Are they with you?" "I do not need help, especially from a russet. Look, I knew your name, Olivia trusts me, and I promise I'll be useful. I know a lot about the visitors." Bushroll sighed. "Very well, but I am not putting away my bow just yet. The visitors are waiting at the edge of the forest." Bushroll wished for a wheelbarrow in which to carry his prey, and Mash helped him load it before they stomped through the woods. With Mash's long legs, he passed Bushroll and called over his shoulder. "So with being a soldier in training, is that bow something you get issued, or did you have to wish that up?" "You know too much about me already, Russet." "It's Mash, actually, and now you know as much about me as I know about you." "I doubt that. The weapon belonged to my father, and I use it for hunting food. I am not in the training program yet, but I hope to be in a few years." Mash snorted. "So Olivia sent a boy, not a soldier or even a trained recruit, on this quest? Why?" "I am more than able. My father was in the Royal Army, and I will be in the army soon too. He trained me to use a bow and arrows. It is as much a part of me as my own arms." To make his point, Bushroll drew back on the bowstring and sent the arrow straight through a fruit hanging from a tree. "Awesome," said Mash, "and now you can teach me." Bushroll stopped and shot him a quizzical and annoyed sidelong glance. "I've been brushing up on my amaranth slang. I hope to go there someday." "No one in Flowerantha has ever gone to the Amaranth," said Bushroll, "except for Shrew tonight." Bushroll's fists tightened around the wheelbarrow hands, and his arms tensed. "You should go work for Scorso. I hear he is giving the rites of passage to whoever builds his castle." "If I believed that, I would go, but I don't trust monster knights. My father said that those people are being used as slaves." Bushroll grunted. That is probably true, evil beasts. Still, it seems like a good place for a russet. Mash fumed, but his anger disappeared when they came to the tree line, where two girls in strange clothing stood waiting. He froze with his mouth hanging open, and Bushrow brushed past him with a shove. Bushrow walked between the girls and turned halfway back to Mash. Coming? Mash strode up to the taller girl and stuck out his hand. Hi, I'm Mash. I'm here to help you get home. The girl squeezed his hand and he jerked it up and down. I'm Beverly. She tucked her straight golden brown locks behind her ear. The shorter girl with the long black hair put her hand out next and took his hand without squeezing it, and he flapped hers up and down too. Maylin. She withdrew her hand and held it with her other hand.